Oh, wow.
Given the recent events at the latest Oscars, I thought it would be a great opportunity to go through about impulse control, anger, and of course spilling into violence. We're of course talking about that slap from Will Smith to Chris Rock. And Will and I were featured in the same health magazine a little while ago, all about confidence. So Will, if you're watching,
Don't be ridiculous.
then I'm sure you'll find some helpful tips and advice to manage that anger and impulse control.
Hulk! Smash!
Now, we've all been there at times where someone has got on our nerves, grating us, maybe being derogatory, some kind of manipulative behaviour or other things. And we have all felt like slapping people or a person.
Like a cheerleader.
But of course, there's a huge difference between thinking about it and acting on that impulse. Now, typically it's more a sort of a banter or joke that we might have within ourselves. You feel like it, you don't necessarily do it.
Not cool, man. Not cool.
And so this video is all about impulse control and of course making sure we're managing the frustration and the emotions well before they get to a physical point, such as a slap or hitting someone, the violence that can ensue.
Anger management class.
Now, with any kind of exchange, there is a step before a step. And what I mean by that is, if we look at the Will Smith, Chris Rock scenario, there has been history. There has been reported of some kind of history that's been bubbling away for a while. We also have to look at some of the human behaviours that happen in scenarios such as what happened at the Oscars. Now, whenever somebody makes a personal joke about somebody else, then of course you do take it personally. And those around that person also take it personally. Now, I don't quite know what was going on because the video cameras and what was reported didn't necessarily show the full picture. But the part that I caught and that I'm doing this video on is there was that joke, and at that time, Will Smith was laughing. Now, there was obviously some kind of exchange that was going on between his wife and him that then caused him to have that extreme behaviour. So there is always a step before the step, and we want to look at that and be aware of it before we get to that final situation that is physical and invokes violence. So let's have a look at that now. Now, whenever there is personal jokes or banter, those around that individual want to come to their defence. So from a human behaviour point of view, we want to defend them in the best way possible. That doesn't necessarily mean going back to them with some kind of exchange. And that's what I was talking about. There's a step before the step. And the exercise that I find really helpful for teaching and coaching all sorts of people, especially young people, about anger management and violence is IFTTT or IFTTT. And what this helps us to understand is the consequences of actions before we take that action. So for Will, if I get up on stage and slap Chris Rock, then what's going to happen? Well, I'm possibly going to get in trouble with the authorities, my fan base is going to be affected, my reputation might be affected.
Before you get arrested.
So this helps to look beyond that action of where we're driven by that core emotion and situation. So if Will's to be able to say, okay, sitting in the seat, it's a derogatory joke, and for me, I don't get that humour. That's my personal take on it. I do not get why any kind of comedian, if they're good at their comedy, has to use someone else as the butt of their joke.
And in very bad taste.
But anyway, that's my own opinion. So in this situation, there was, of course, the personal joke made on Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. And at that stage, he was able, before that next exchange happened, so before that step happened, he was able to be able to process that. if I do this, then that's going to happen. If I sit here and show my respect and defense for my wife without taking action, then what's going to happen? So it helps us to see into the future, recognize the consequences of any action before we actually take it. And we make better, healthier, safer choices by doing that. Now, of course, we are also talking about massive superstar celebrity egos.
My ego.
Your poor spotted ego.
So it was likely that part of Will Smith's actions were driven by that, to defend his wife, to show that he was in support of his wife's feelings to do with the joke. So there's lots of complexities that happen around this, and not saying that there was any excuse for any kind of violence or getting up and that kind of exchange, but there is clear explanations as to why. And when we start looking deeper at the explanations and recognizing what's happening before it clearly happens, we can make better decisions and choices. So if this, then that. And of course we can take that further. And then what? And then what? So if in Will Smith's situation, if I get up and slap Chris Rock, then what's going to happen? Reputation, maybe effect on career, who knows? I mean, he is a big superstar, but who knows the effect on his career from this situation, and other fallouts that, of course, with social media, people wade in very, very quickly. And then if we were to go further, and then what's going to happen, and then what's going to happen? So all of a sudden he would be able to sit there processing through if this then that before it actually happens. Make a better, safer, healthier choice to manage those impulses before they actually happen.